I would now like to, and the people who are up on the screen are members of our Board of Trustees, and we're very glad to have you. I would normally call you all out by name, but people can see you and I think they can see your names. Especially I would call attention, however, to Renee Cetera and John Anderson, who were co-chairs of the search committee. You'll be hearing from them briefly shortly. But first, I would like to introduce the chair of our Board of Trustees and the Bishop of the Diocese of Davenport, Bishop Thomas Sinkula. Bishop Sinkula.
Thank you, Sister Joan. The members of the Board of Trustees express our heartfelt gratitude for your outstanding years of service to this university. Sister's service and dedication to the university challenged the search committee and the board to select a successor who would lead St. Ambrose with a similar sense of vision and commitment, not only to the university, but to the greater community. The work of the search committee was instrumental in bringing forth highly qualified candidates for the board's consideration. I am grateful for their hard work and want to acknowledge the excellent leadership of the committee's co-chairs, both of whom are alumni of St. Ambrose, John Anderson and Renee Cetera. And so, John.
This is the real test, isn't it? Yes. Thank you, John. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Bishop. I do also, this is not on the script because she probably wouldn't have let me put it on the script, but a special word of thanks belongs to our executive assistant in the president's office, Janice Suter, who, as John and the Bishop and Renee can attest, took us through months and months of hard work. So how about a round of applause for Janice Suter, who was really See, Jana, I knew you wouldn't put that in the script, so I had to wait and say it this way. Again, we're very grateful to John and Renee and the Bishop and all of those from the board who worked with me as we began the process of finding the next president and doing the transition to the 14th president of St. Ambrose. Just 5 months ago, those of you from the press will remember that in this very room, I announced my intention to retire as the 13th president of St. Ambrose, to be effective in early August of this year. It has been an incredible honor to serve the students here by building on the work of my predecessors, especially my immediate predecessor, Dr. Ed Rogalski, whose 20 years really put St. Ambrose on the map. I know that the work of the university will continue through the leadership of our next president. So with the full endorsement of Bishop Sinkula and the Board of Trustees, I am delighted to announce today our next president of St. Ambrose University, Dr. Amy Novak. Dr. Novak is currently serving as the president of Dakota Wesleyan University in Mitchell, South Dakota. She and her husband, Dr. Ken Novak, came down today actually so they could get into warmer weather from South Dakota. But it is with great joy and with presenting her with a little bit of Ambrose swag that I call forth the next president of St. Ambrose University, Dr. Amy Novak.
Good morning. I am honored and humbled and extremely excited to have been chosen by the St. Ambrose Board of Trustees to lead this great 139-year-old institution. I'm deeply appreciative of the efforts of Bishop Thomas Sinkula, John Anderson, Renee Cetera, and many others who were involved in the search process. I also need to offer a word of thanks to my husband, Ken, for his abiding and unconditional support, alongside our 8 inspiring children, Peter, Isaac, Luke, Mark, Samela Grace, Mariana, Elijah, and Zachariah, whose lives motivate my personal calling to build the next generation of leaders, equipped to address the complexities of our world, rooted in the values of mercy, justice, and love. I am pleased to see a great turnout of media partners from the community. It affirms my sense of St. Ambrose's vital role in the Quad Cities. I was here a week ago for a tour of campus, although a bit incognito. And Sister Joan, I will confess that after you dropped me back off, following our brief formal tour, I hopped in my car and came back to take a tour of my own. I began by walking the interior of the campus, and then the exterior of the campus, and then I walked a 2-block radius of the campus. This effort to walk the neighborhood is owed to my belief that universities need to coexist in and with and for their communities. Universities cannot merely just be a cluster of physical structures in a community. They need to be an active leader, a collaborative partner, an incubator for economic growth for their community and beyond. Leading a place that values its role in, with, and for a community matters. It spoke volumes to me, it was actually a pretty nice sunny day, that when people in a 2-block radius of this university could share a story of Ambrose and a way in which students, a staff or faculty member had interacted with them or with the larger community. I was compelled by the story of a faculty member and her class who had partnered on a project with an area nonprofit, or the story of an Ambrose student athlete who had provided an autograph to a neighborhood boy across Locust Street, or the experience shared of a social work student who had spent time visiting an older couple who lived near the college. These stories provided evidence that this is a university invested in strengthening its community. Friends, during this random walk around the neighborhood, it became clear to me that St. Ambrose does not just talk about community. For you, it is a verb. Community is what you have built. It is what you do. This is a university much bigger than buildings. This is a university committed to its calling to be the hands, the feet, the touch, the voice, the compassion, the place that builds future leaders for a stronger, more vital world. Something I also sensed as I studied St. Ambrose's efforts to support its students in the midst of COVID-19 was the work ethic and determination that Ambrosians bring to this task. Resiliency, persistence, tenacity find their home in this community. And equally noteworthy, the university embraces these attributes, striving to learn from mistakes, rising above expectations, and surprising those who thought overcoming a particular challenge or hurdle might not be possible. This ethos that values community and persists in overcoming challenges will be pivotal as we embrace new opportunities in the next decade of higher education. Small private colleges and universities face a great many challenges in the years ahead. And the universities that will thrive will be those with people who are willing to think innovatively, problem solve in creative ways, and adapt to the rapidly changing realities of how students learn, what the knowledge era economy demands, and how we equip our future leaders to embrace diversity in all its forms. We need to be prepared to meet new generations of students, regardless of age, background, or experience, We need to meet them where they are and with the educational opportunities that can get them where they want to go, while simultaneously preparing them for the responsibilities of servant leadership and citizenship in our world. As a parent of 8 children, 6 of whom are still in middle school, high school, or college, I appreciate, perhaps more than you can understand, that students are learning differently. As the daughter of entrepreneurs, and alongside my own personal experience as an active collaborator in the economic development initiatives across the Great Plains, I am also very aware that the workforce of tomorrow demands more demonstrable, practiced, and honed skills and dispositions, as well as degree programs that reflect such relevance. And as a mother to children of color, I am deeply compelled to build communities that bind diverse individuals and groups together in a sustaining community of faith, service, and commitment to the common good. The rapidly changing world we live in demands that we begin to adapt our learning models. Together, we must move from a focus on the philosophy of teaching to a learner-centric approach that focuses on a philosophy of learning that acknowledges how learning happens best. This might invite us to consider how learning happens, when learning happens, and where learning happens. Similarly, we are entering an era in which the experience of education must span a lifetime. Like a subscription service, we need to consider how the education of Ambrose may be accessed across a person's lifespan, offering degrees, certificates, thought leadership, personal and professional coaching, spiritual direction at any point in someone's career. We ought not send our students off on graduation day hoping they re-engage with us years after they leave, but rather with the mindset that next month we hope to see them back for the next installment of vital learning for the 21st century. Finally, the next decade will invite us to explore new pathways that open the door to those whom access and affordability are obstacles. These pathways may creatively link learning and earning in an affordable model that positions education right alongside work, ensuring professional readiness for the workplaces in our communities and beyond. Finally, I feel deeply called to the faith that permeates the culture of St. Ambrose University. Faith motivates my work. Our Catholic social justice tradition invites us to meet students where they are at. Faith invites us to take risks, to explore the complex, to wrestle with the tension in our world, to discern what is truth, to act with justice, mercy, and love. As I walked into the chapel here on campus, I was struck by the art of Father Edward Kaddish, particularly the Theophora. The black child of Jesus with the Caucasian Madonna spoke boldly of an image of a universal Christ. This image invites us to welcome people of all backgrounds into our community, to work tirelessly to honor the human dignity of all people, to listen with intensity to their stories, and to see perspective through their eyes. This is the work of St. Ambrose. Leading our current community and my current role as president at Dakota Wesleyan University in Mitchell, South Dakota, is not easy. It is where I grew up and graduated from high school. It is where my husband, Ken, and I watched our 8 children experience their formative years. We remain grateful for the friendships, the experiences, and the opportunities that shaped who we have become. Yet as more than a few of the St. Ambrose alumni have shared with me in the interview process, and as I discovered on my walk last week, St. Ambrose has a way of immediately feeling like home. So I accept this opportunity with humility to build on a great legacy of leadership at this university. I am truly honored to follow Sister Joan as president. I know she will be remembered as a leader who oversaw tremendous growth in the academic programs, the facilities, endowed scholarships for the benefit of students, now and deep into the future. Her leadership over 14 years at St. Ambrose and across a half century, I mean, don't we all want to be able to do that? I mean, a half century of dedicated service to Catholic higher education is inspiring. I welcome Sister Joan's friendship and guidance as she remains in the Quad Cities over the coming year. And I am eager to start making my own contribution to the university and the greater community beginning this August. I'm also eager to join a dedicated faculty and staff who share my love for teaching and students. And I'm especially eager to get to know the St. Ambrose students, and today Ken and I will share lunch and fellowship with some of them. Friends, this is a challenging time in higher education, but it is also our opportunity. I spent my youth growing up in the agricultural belt of the Great Plains. Agricultural science has opened our understanding to the natural process of growth. But I would still hold, and I believe so many of those that farm would hold the same, that bringing in any harvest still has an element of the miraculous to it. Grace manifests itself in a variety of ways, and often in the very processes which we think we control. I fully recognize that all that has been accomplished at St. Ambrose and our many future successes will be in cooperation with a God who loves us and who wants us to nurture each other in whatever gift is ours to give. The soil is rich at St. Ambrose, and notably, much of the produce from that soil only grows when pollinated by bees. Those bees inevitably go forth from here to bring in multiple harvests across our world. Thank you for this opportunity to lead and serve Ambrose well today and well into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Novak, and we would ask the press now, we have, over the last couple of these conferences, had general questions that you would ask of the person, in this case, Dr. Novak, and then she and Ken, the bishop, and I would be available to you afterward for any of those of you who would like to talk with her individually. So I'm going to call Dr. Novak back now up to the podium, and she will take questions that you have. Dr. Novak.
What are the biggest challenges that you see in the beginning of your presidency for St. Ambrose? What are the things that you see that you're going to have to tackle first?
So the question was, what are the biggest challenges that may need to be tackled here at St. Ambrose first? I'm going to share with you that my initial vision is to spend a lot of time listening and really discerning what are those things that need the primary attention. Often in the search process, we don't have time to dig deeply into those, but I do think that we're confronting issues of access and affordability to ensure that we continue to stabilize and strengthen our enrollment going forward. So that will be at the front end of some of the concerns we look at. I also think that in this environment, in 2020 and 2021, we need to be incredibly attentive to the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I'll be listening within our campus community to understand how that's being lived out. Yes?
Dr. Novak, it's a big step to change careers and to move with your family especially. Could you talk a little bit about what that dynamic was like, what that conversation was like at all?
It was a great conversation at home. You know, as I mentioned in the comments, faith is about risk-taking. And growing up the daughter of entrepreneurs, we were taking risks all the time. So this isn't completely incongruent with our family ethos. We sat our children down this past Friday night to have this conversation. And the conversation went like this. Guess what? We're moving. And there was a, whoa, Mom, you know, like, what's all that about? And then there was a complete, lots of questions, as you can imagine, people shooting things from all sorts of directions. But as children who've grown up with a mom and dad in a community that's been very rural, there have been times when we've had to take positions, or I've had to take a particular position that hasn't always been popular in the community. And the children were often told to just say no comment when they were in school, or when they had a teacher ask about a particular question. Or as they got older, they had a bit more mature response. And so our 14-year-old Elijah said to me, "This is not a no comment answer, Mom. So I need the talking points. I need to know exactly why we're moving. And so when this news hits at 10:30 at Mitchell High School, I'm prepared, because I'm going to be in debate class, and that teacher knows you, and she needs to know the talking points." So, but they're very excited. They're looking forward to a new transition. Ken spent 13 years in the military. We moved a lot during that time. So they have been kind of this individual unit, and they support each other in that process. And so they're very excited. We've talked with all of them, and they were remarkably affirming of this decision. And they know our passion for higher education and learning, and they've been alongside that journey for a long time. So, yes?
Can you tell us about your children? You said you have children of color.
Yes, so we are blessed with 6 biological children and 2 adopted children, 2 black children. They're right in the middle. They're 6 boys and 2 girls. Our oldest is 26 and our youngest is 12. Mark and Samela were born in South Africa. Yes?
What caught your eye about St. Ambrose that you wanted to apply here and try to get the position?
So I have a deep commitment to both innovation and entrepreneurial thinking in higher education. And there is a lot of evidence that this university has been embracing that ethos for a very long time. There are things happening here that I think are on the cutting edge of what needs to be built out as we think about what the next generation of higher education looks like. I'm also deeply appreciative of the opportunity to work in my own faith tradition. And so I've been grateful for that. And Sister Joan has presence, friends. So, you know, in the larger Council of Independent Colleges, she doesn't know this, but I've been watching her from the sidelines for a long time. And she's been talking about this place, and in particular, sort of the hidden gem that it's been for, I think, many, many years. And so for me, a commitment to innovation, the fact that there was sincere evidence by the board and others of your desire to strengthen diversity and look at ways that we can open up pathways to students who might not otherwise be able to afford our education, or who just simply don't see higher ed as a pathway, was evident in the conversations. And then the deep and abiding faith commitment that permeated the conversations with students and faculty members, all of that excites me. You're in an enviable place here in higher ed to have the kind of financial position that you have, as well as the type of innovation that's characterized your adult and online learning, as well as some of the things happening in your undergraduate programs. And so all of that was very appealing.
Can you give us a couple of examples of that innovation, of anything that stuck out to you during sort of like programs that really caught your eye as far as what you were just discussing?
Sure. So I just think there's been some experimentation happening in sort of certificates and micro-credentialing, which I think is going to need to continue to grow as we move forward. There's evidence of responsiveness to the region. So the engineering programs, some of the things happening now in business, the discussion I had with the faculty members about 7-week blocks. Now I know this might not be entirely popular, but there's a whole lot of evidence to suggest when we can put people in blocks of time, learning happens in a more pronounced way. And so there's experimentation like that manifested itself that I think is very encouraging. Obviously, the health sciences are extremely strong in terms of physical therapy, physician assistant, as well as the pre-professional preparation for those programs. So I'm very excited about that. There's also a willingness on the part of the faculty in the humanities to think, how do we make our work compelling and relevant? And they were very much excited to talk about those types of conversations. So I'm eager to visit with them, to be in conversation, to work with Paul and others to think about how do we help the general public that sometimes has some cynicism toward the humanities fully appreciate we need people who want to serve the common good. We need people who value truth and understand what that looks like. We need people who can sort through disparate information and understand what's reliable or valid. That's at the heart of good, solid education. And I think there's ways we can help the humanities faculty and co-develop programs with them, or ways to market what they do in compelling ways for our future. Yes?
You made some wonderful analogies to agriculture. There are not very many Catholic universities that have any programs related to agriculture. Have you thought about that in terms of St. Ambrose at all?
Again, I'm always reticent to sort of say, here's my prescription, right? Because I think that's a little bit naive. So I would certainly be very open to visiting with the business community and others to determine, are those needs unmet, and are there ways that we could look at exploring how those needs could be met? One of the lessons I take from my previous role is that I spent a great deal of time partnering with business and industry. And it was across our whole region. And when we're listening intently to them, and we have faculty and leadership from the faculty also partnered in those conversations, we begin to understand what are the emerging trends and how is our education reflecting that, especially in the professional preparation. But then simultaneously alongside that, how are we equipping them with the very sound leadership skills and ethics and moral compass, if you will, that equips them to be the strong leaders that we need in those professional capacities. We did partner we partnered with a technical college actually to deliver a sort of partnership in agriculture business that was very successful. And collaboration is my modus operandi. I mean, right alongside with meeting with all the faculty is my desire to get right into the business community. I come with a background in economic development. So for me, it's how do we bring these two groups together to be in conversation. One of the things we did fairly successfully at Dakota Wesleyan was invite 115 to 120 business leaders every year to campus to give feedback. What are the trends that are happening in their sectors? They came from 9 different industry sectors. What's happening? And how does that help inform what we do? And I think the more we can be seamless about that, the stronger our institutions will be going into the future.
There are other institutions of higher education in the Quad Cities, several in fact. And so how do you see your St. Ambrose's relationship with those other institutions during your tenure?
So I'm about collaborations, and I'm going to be really honest with you. I think the future of higher ed is about collaboration. Even collaboration between different private colleges as we think about how to create cost savings on the back end of some of the things that we do. But community colleges can be very vital parts and very strong pathways, if you will, for students who may want to transfer to a 4-year degree option. So there's obviously, I think, opportunity for us to build and strengthen some of the pathways that may already exist. But as we go into the future, it's all about, are there ways that we can collectively bring some of these conversations together to lift up our regions? That's what universities are designed to do. They are active partners and labor force incubators for our regions. We do that best when we collaborate, rather than compete, which is the novel concept, I understand. It's not kind of. Yes?
What are you looking forward to most starting this new position?
Just being in a different place and really exploring the challenges that are here. I'm a consummate problem solver, so I just like to sort of look at a place and get to know it. I think for me it's exciting to start something new. And so I will be deeply invested in just understanding the Quad Cities, its history, its culture, the presence of its churches, how it interfaces with the university, the students, the faculty, the staff. So for me, it's about understanding culture. When we build strong cultures, we build cultures of trust. All the rest happens in a really productive way. When we live in cultures of distrust and polarization and division, not a lot positive happens. So for me, it's about understanding those dynamics and figuring out how to amplify what we're doing well and partner to achieve those results.
If there are no further questions, Dr. Novak will be available for one-on-ones, Sister Joan as well. We have Yasmin Perez is a student who served on the search committee, is available for questions if you'd like. And Mike Poster, who was representing the staff and faculty on the search committee, is available. So, thank you all for coming.